I used to think I was great at everything. Anytime I had to rate myself for anything, I gave myself an 8 so that I was being a little humble and not a 10. But I was really, really bad at it because I was not an 8 at any of the things I was rating myself. And chances are you are also really crap at rating yourself and evaluating yourself for your skills and what you can do. So today, I'm going to talk to Jay about this interesting phenomenon of people who are really bad at rating themselves. So, Jay, why does everyone think they're super great at everything they do? They think they're an 8, a 10 on looks and skills and business and money, et cetera, et cetera.
Great question, Cynthia.
Oh my God.
No, it is a good question.
Thanks.
Well, what's required to rate or assess something correctly? What is an absolute requirement to pull this off correctly? Can you think of any?
Well, you have to be honest with yourself.
Okay. Self-honesty.
You have to be self-aware.
Self-awareness.
And take personal responsibility for yourself and what you do.
Yeah, those are pretty good requirements.
And you should really be good at the thing you're saying you're good at. That would help.
Yeah, so it should match reality.
Right.
So that last one, your rating or assessment should match reality. To me, that seems the most important. Like, even if you're not a self-aware person or not an honest person, if ultimately your rating matches reality, you're pretty solid.
It's true. But I see so many people on social media saying, my toxic trait is that I could do this. I know I could rock this. Whatever it is, like from rock climbing to chopping wood to science. Like, people think that they're just great at this and they never, ever touched it.
Yeah, but stay with me.
Okay.
The main thing is that whatever you end up rating yourself on, or however you end up assessing yourself, is that it matches reality.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what if we had a very self-aware person, a very honest person who was happy to match reality, but they grew up in like a small African tribe and they're rating themselves on their skiing skills. And they're the best skier in their village because they've skied a few times. So the rest of their village hasn't skied at all.
Ever.
And so they're brutal.
Right.
They're just tragically bad.
Right.
But our example person has made it down the hill a few times. So they look around and they're like, well, honestly, I am the best.
Well, they're the best among the worst.
But they would say it matches reality. Right?
Fair play. It matches their reality, yes.
But it doesn't match the reality of the world.
No, it does not.
So even if you have an honest person who's doing their best to rate themselves, if that person hasn't been exposed to true Olympian skiers, if they haven't been exposed to the worst skiers, like even worse skiers than their village, then
Right.
they can't properly rate themselves. They can't assess the situation well. They have very limited experience.
Okay. So then I want to add to that list. I said they have to be self-aware, honest, and have the skills that they're saying, right? But they also...
And it should match reality.
And also, they have done risk, which is research, inspect, steal, and create. And this is what you teach to do for everything to learn something.
Yeah. If you want to learn something and if you want to be able to assess yourself correctly at something, I always teach risk.
Right.
You always research, inspect, steal, and create your own thing until you have an understanding, a good enough understanding to actually rate yourself.
Right.
So when we're kids, we often all think we're the best at everything. I'm the best artist, I'm the best musician, I'm the best skier, I'm the best dancer, until we get out into the world and start seeing other kids who are winning awards, other kids who are doing better, or we start looking at our idols and Olympians and pro athletes and pro gamers and all these things. And now, all of a sudden, we don't really think we're the best anymore.
Right.
So limited experience or limited exposure makes it impossible for you to correctly assess something. You have a very limited, narrow scope. You think this is the best and this is the worst, but really on the globe, this is the best and this is the worst. And you're like over here.
Right.
So whenever someone tries to assess themselves, like I'm good at relationships, or I'm good at communication, or I'm good at dancing, or whatever it is, I'm good at business. If they have limited experience with that thing, it's practically impossible for them to assess themselves correctly. They don't know what being the best really is, and they don't know what being the worst really is. All they know is their tiny little village worldview of a few people who were okay at communicating and they're somewhat better. Right. Or they're okay at relationships and they're somewhat better. It's like, this doesn't make you the best. This makes you the best in your tiny little neighborhood of the world.
Yeah, well, most people use their experience as their whole life, their whole worldview.
Yeah, it's their barometer for everything.
Right.
Sure. But since everyone has pretty limited experiences, is using a tiny personal experience of a skill or a craft a good barometer to measure ourselves? Is a good barometer to assess ourselves?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When we met, this is how I assessed my skills. So back then I would say I'm great at art and I'm a great artist, but I was surrounded by other great artists, but I never looked past the group of people that I was spending time with, the other artists that I know. And they're great artists too, but they were with me here. Great art is here. And so that's not a barometer that you can use to really tell yourself or tell other people, yes, I am a great artist. Oh, are you up there with Picasso and Van Gogh and Basquiat? Are you on their level? Using your own circle of friends or the people you know as a barometer of whether you're good or bad. This is just going to end up biting you in the ass when you finally meet someone. I'm pointing to Jay for those listening on Spotify. Meeting you and seeing real amazing artistic talent, higher level than mine, made me understand that I could really improve, and using my people and my circle as this barometer of where I stand in the art world or where I stand period on any topic. It's kind of silly. And I think most people don't realize that.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a phase most people go through. I went through a phase where I thought I was a 10 at everything. I was in the gifted program, high IQ, outperforming all these people around me. So I must be great. I must be the best. I was super arrogant and super conceited, and my ego was off the charts.
Right.
Then I ended up homeless and lost all my friends and got betrayed. And it's maybe I'm not hot shit. It's really humbling. And you see a bigger, wider world out there. And maybe you're not as good at the things as you think you are. And even now, I remember the lessons in it. I remember how important it is to be careful when I'm rating myself. Be careful when I'm assessing myself or evaluating a situation, because a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, I could see more of the world and see much better or much worse than I thought. And this will adjust my evaluation. Oh crap, I did it just the other day. We were reading a book and I read a passage where someone taught something way better than I taught it. And even though I understood the principle and I practice it and I use it and I do it effortlessly and I do it habitually and I taught it fairly clearly, I was like, this guy teaches it better.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I love being a great teacher and I consider myself a great teacher, but this dude just put me to shame with that. And so maybe I'm not as good as I thought, or at least at teaching that topic.
Right.
But I can get better if I assess myself correctly, if I admit when I find somebody better.
True. Well, this morning I was on Twitter and someone that we're friends with made a post about this. Actually, I thought it was really great timing, and asking if their content was really great or whatever. I don't remember the exact question. And then I went and looked at the comments, and every single person was like, yeah, I'm awesome. I'm the best. That's right. You would recognize me if I don't have my name and my photo. My shit is awesome.
Yeah, that was the question. Basically, it was, are your tweets branded enough, clear enough, have a signature style that removing the profile and name, people would still recognize them as your tweet.
Right.
And a surprising number of people were like, yes. Now, the question is describing a very high level of branding.
Yeah.
This is someone who knows themselves and expresses their true, authentic self super well. They know to make sure that they put their signature phrase in, their style, their spacing, their paragraphs, maybe their brand colors or something.
Yeah.
And they've done it so often, so consistently, and so clearly that the world is aware of it. And their tweets are recognizable as a brand.
Right. And so if I did that with you, if I removed your name and your photo, I would know because you use our brand colors, you use your style, you have a particular, I can always, when I see old work of yours that's on something that you've done for other people, I recognize it immediately because I know your style. We've been working together for a really long time. And even if they're not in our brand colors, I recognize your fonts and your style of graphics. right?
Yeah, and not just that, maybe my ideas or my presentation or my perspective.
That too.
I'm not saying mine are as well recognized as Andrew Tate or The Rock or Apple or something.
I honestly don't even think theirs is good enough to remove their name and photo for, I was just going to say Alex Hormozy, because his branding's pretty good. It's okay. It's not bad. But if I removed his name and his picture, I wouldn't know that was his.
Yeah. So that's why it was a good question for someone to ask.
Agreed.
What I was not expecting was so many run-of-the-mill average folks rating themselves as a yes, as a yes, I'm super well branded and my signature style is clear and it would be recognized if you took away my name and face. That was a surreal evaluation to me. Agreed. How could you possibly consider that?
And I didn't even...
So I looked at their profiles.
I was just going to say, I did the same thing. Yeah.
So I went and looked at their profiles because I was interested. Man, if you have such a clear voice and a clear style and consistent branding that we could take away your name and profile and we would recognize that tweet as yours, I got to see this.
Yeah.
And so I clicked around. I opened up 3-4 profiles and every single one of them was just a random average Twitter feed. It's not some god tier branding or some consistent signature voice or anything. I was confused.
So the person that comes to the top of my mind of who would, other than you, is Dan Coe. Dan Coe writes consistently the same things. He rewords it different. He has his black background with his white outline photos or his graphics. And in his little videos, he does the black and white, like stuff that moves around. Sure. Like this kind of thing I would recognize. Same with yours. Out of all those people in the comment section, and I went and did the same thing. I looked at all their profiles because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, well, they must be like kings and queens of branding. I need to go see this. Maybe I can learn something. And it was, no, dude, you're so off on your rating of yourself and your brand and your voice. You have no idea. And so I thought it was just a perfect sync for today. I mean, you didn't know what we were going to talk about, but I did. And so that's why I wanted to have some examples. And yeah, looking through that post, I was not surprised.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Because the majority of the population goes through a phase, usually a long phase, where they're always rating themselves highly at everything.
Yes. And it's okay. We both done it.
Yeah, I've done it.
And I'm not saying I
might still do it.
So just so you know, I don't know if you saw it or and everyone listening, I answered that tweet and I was honest and said, no, I don't think that I'm really good at this. I could be more me in my tweets, though since we have a branded business, I use our branded colors, but I don't always post that stuff. Sometimes I share, but I definitely talk about you all the time. And I definitely talk about me and my life constantly. So maybe a little bit more than the rest of them, you know, maybe some people might recognize it as mine, but I definitely could improve.
Sure. So then the proper thing would be rate yourself slightly above average. So 5 out of 10 is average, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Then I would rate myself a 5.5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Sure. That's fine. Right. That's an honest assessment. Good job.
Thanks.
Unlike the other commenters who all claimed they were nailing it. 9, 10.
Right. And the funny thing is, the reason why I'm better at this now, and you gave me a compliment yesterday, I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because we were doing something else, not even this.
We're using our Bizmatic app to rate every aspect of our business.
Right. So Jay made a Bizmatic app. It is an app of 22 questions. And you go in and you are seeing the business doctor, right? That's why it's called Bizmatic, so that you can diagnose your business and see where you are struggling or what you can improve, or maybe you have a god tier business and you don't need to improve anything. This app is really cool. So we were going through it together because I did it separately, and you thought that I rated myself a little bit high.
I thought you were like the Twitter people.
Yeah.
Why are you rating yourself so high? Right. Your business is junk, yo. I mean, no one...
I know. So we did it together, and it turned out that 2 of the questions I didn't understand. So I rated it wrong because I misunderstood the question. And so when you explained it, I was able to rate it properly. And you were like, oh, I thought you were like bad at this. And actually, you're right. There was only one question that, you know, I rated a little bit higher than I should have. The rest of them, I was pretty honest. But I had to learn the really hard way. Right. And so I wanted to share this with the audience about that time at Darius's house. So Jay asked me many years ago when I first moved here, and asked me what I would rate myself looks wise.
This is big for women. Women do this. They're always rating their looks, and guys are rating women on their looks. Like everyone wants to put a number on their looks.
Right. And we were looking at women, and we were looking because back then we ran Rise Kink. And so we were looking for models to wear our shirts. So that's the backstory to it. Right. So you just randomly asked me, what do you rate yourself? And I was like, oh, I'm an 8. And you were like, what? What? And I was like, well, I don't know. And I felt really bad. I felt like my partner, the person that I love, is like telling me I'm a horrible, hideous troll. You weren't saying that at all. But it was a lesson for me on how I view myself, how I view my skills, how I think about myself. And so when I said 8, I don't really feel that way. I don't really, at the time, the truth would have been, like, I felt like a 2. I felt ugly and horrible about myself and super insecure. But because my partner, you were asking me, I rated myself like higher on the scale, thinking that you'd be like, yeah, you are. You're so pretty. And but you were like, no. And you weren't doing it in a mean, horrible way. And so then
you're trying to help you assess correctly.
Yes. It was about the assessment. It wasn't about my looks. It was assessing. And anyway, I think at the time I said, well, then maybe I'm a 2. And you're like, no, that's wrong too. And so it wasn't
me, it felt like you were just randomly guessing numbers. And I was assessing very clearly. I'm like, okay, let me think of the hottest women on the planet. And now let me think of like the least appealing, at least according to societal standards, right?
Right.
Because there's beauty in the eye of the beholder or whatever.
Right.
But let me look at it objectively and like, where am I going to put you? And it was like, an honest evaluation should never be randomly throwing out numbers.
No, that's the thing. So honest evaluation of myself now, I would say that I'm a 5.5, right?
On the way up.
Yeah. And you're so sweet. Yeah.
Facts.
I know.
You just praised how far you've come.
Yeah. That's true.
It's clearly on the way up.
But that's an honest assessment. And if people are going to listen or watch and say like, no, don't do that. Okay. Because if I look at Demi Rose, who in my eyes is a friggin' 10, right? She's beautiful.
Good.
I mean, her ass is a bit big, but whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about overall appearance. She's a friggin' 10. Okay. To give her room to grow, the 9, right? If she's a 9, how the F am I an 8, right? If Beyonce is a 9 or an 8.5 or an 8 or even a 7, how am I a freaking 8? So this is what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about, yes, I'm pretty. Okay, great, fine. Some people think I'm hideous. Some people think I'm pretty. That's fine. But an overall rating, I cannot say, and now saying that, I'm even thinking like 5.5 was generous, you know? So like looking at the top tier women and like, I don't want to call anyone out for being ugly, but let's say like, you know, 2-headed freak from the circus from back in the day, right? Like she would be a 1 or a 0, right?
People would say Elephant Man or something.
Right. Okay. So
I have nothing against this.
Like, no.
I'm not trying to be controversial.
No.
I'm just saying, according to society's standards,
right,
not mine,
right,
that would be
right,
pretty low on the scale.
And so when you're rating yourself, you should be doing this. So if I rate our business, then I need to look at Nike and Starbucks. Yeah. They're a freaking 10.
We're not even close.
How can I rate myself as an 8 if Nike and Starbucks are a 10?
Exactly.
That's wrong.
Right. So my business is clearly not an 8.
Right.
I can admit that.
Yeah.
But I'm on my way up.
Right. And so most people want to say I'm rated or whatever it is. So even you, right? And so I don't want people to think like you rate yourself this wonderfulness. Your problem. And the reason we were talking about my looks too, not just because of the models, but because
I was tense.
I'm improving my appearance and I'm transforming. You were super tense, and I asked you to rate yourself on relaxation, and you're like, I think you said a 2.
Yeah, and I stand by that.
Right.
I think it was the correct rating at the time.
Right. And so
maybe
again,
1.5.
But if we look at the most relaxed person on earth,
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah, this dude, right? And the least relaxed human on earth,
Andrew Tate.
Or Andrew Tate. He seems so tense. Yeah. So if we use them on a relaxation scale, you're a freaking 2. or back then.
Or maybe it's someone we don't even know or can't even see. Maybe it's like someone with 12 kids and 4 jobs and can't make ends meet and has substance abuse problems. They're probably the most tense.
Well, P. Diddy right now might be down there.
Yeah, or a fugitive from justice or something.
Right.
Yeah. But I wasn't that level of tense.
No. But
I wasn't great.
No, but you were pretty close to that level of tense.
And I admitted
you
it.
said I'm a 2. And so now I don't know, what would you rate yourself now as relaxation thing?
Above average.
Yeah.
I feel like most people are not relaxed, and I'm fairly relaxed, so I would say 5.5.
Yeah.
But I'm still fairly tense.
Yeah, but you've been on a super great, amazing journey to improve your relaxation. And when I say relaxation, I don't mean laying in bed watching Netflix. I mean, this man physically could not relax his body. And so that was my concern and why I brought it up back then. Yeah, and you have done so much work on relaxing.
Yeah,
and
that's why I assess myself.
I would agree with your assessment.
So that I can grow.
Yes.
This is the whole point. If you can't evaluate where you are, if you can't see reality and match reality, how are you ever going to improve? For example, if someone has a cut arm and their arm is bleeding everywhere, if they cannot assess themselves as injured, if they cannot admit, I am injured and I'm in trouble, I need to address this, they're in denial of the cut arm, how is that situation going to improve? Can a doctor help them?
No.
What happens when a doctor tries to help them?
They're going to say, I'm fine.
Right.
And they bleed out.
Right. Can a family member help them?
No.
Why? What happens when a family member tries to help them?
Because they say, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm great. My arm's not cut. I'm fine.
Right. If they watch a health documentary on TV, do they immediately go and apply it?
No.
Why not?
Because they think they're fine and they're okay.
Right. So when we have an incorrect assessment, we're actually preventing any form of growth or improvement on that topic.
True.
So if I cannot admit that my business or my marketing or my sales is weak, I can never have improvement in my business or my marketing or my sales.
Fair enough.
If I cannot admit that my health or appearance is not ideal, I can never have improvement on my health or appearance.
Right.
All these people have all these dreams and they're so hungry for improvement in certain areas, but they won't even admit they're at a 4 or a 3 or a 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you cannot admit and evaluate your situation correctly, no help is coming to you.
Yeah. And it's super frustrating for the people around you.
Yes.
Who
can see the rating clearly.
Yeah.
Because they're not too close to it.
No, that's the thing. When you're too close to a problem, this makes it very difficult for you to see the truth. Even if you are able to see a small amount, what you perceive as a small problem is actually a much bigger problem because you're too close to it.
And this is something that's even less understood or less realized, but there's an attitude or a perspective behind quality evaluation that most people avoid or don't have. You know what it is?
No.
A hunger for truth.
Oh,
you have to be hungry for reality.
Good.
You have to be hungry for reality. You have to be hungry for truth. Yeah. If you are not hungry for reality and hungry for truth, then you will hide everything and deny everything and be blind to everything. You'll minimize everything. You'll reduce everything. You'll overestimate everything. Your assessment and evaluation will be off massively all the time. And because your assessment is off, actual help and improvement are unavailable. But anyone who's hungry for the truth and is like, bring it on, give me the feedback, give me the criticism, rate me how you want. I'm going to rate myself properly. I'm going to assess the situation correctly. I'm going to see reality. They are empowered to make drastic changes.
And I think taking it a step further, there are people who say they want the truth and they do want the truth is out there. I want to know the truth of the government and the celebrities and all the
but they don't want to know the truth about themselves.
Yes, that's it.
And their own situation.
Yeah, because they want the truth for everything else in the world, but they don't understand that they don't really want the truth about themselves. I had to learn that the hard way too.
And you can't be picky.
No.
You either want the truth of reality, the good and the bad, even if it paints you in a bad light, or you don't really want the truth of anything. You're looking for lies and confirmation biases and things that agree with you and echo chambers and whatever. You think you want the truth about the government or whatever. No. But if you don't want the truth about yourself, you don't want the truth about anything else.
It's true. And I know people who are like this, who they claim they want the truth, but the moment someone gives them truth about themselves or their life or their situation, they have a fit and then try to turn it around on
they start blaming them, attacking them, getting defensive, getting prickly.
Yes. But they're the first ones to demand the truth for all the stuff going on now with all the child abusers and all the abusers in Hollywood. And they're the ones that want the truth of the government and the truth of Monsanto, they want the truth of all that stuff.
Yeah, but what they really want is a scapegoat or someone to blame, or they want to be right or self-righteous.
Yes.
Everyone who says they want the truth, you have to look at their own life first. Do they acknowledge and assess themselves truthfully? Are they seeking the truth about their own behavior and their own situations and their own beliefs and their own perspectives? Do they acknowledge their limiting beliefs? Do they acknowledge the limits of their wisdom or their experience? Are they judging things objectively, clearly, and correctly? If they don't have a history of doing that, they aren't seeking the truth anywhere else. Yes. Truth seeking is a skill and an attitude that you either are good at and practice at and masterful with, and that you apply consistently, or it's something you suck at.
Yeah.
And so when people say, I want the truth, which is it? Is it you're hungry for truth because it's deep in you and you like that in every area of your life? Or are you saying that as a mask for some other neuroses or issue or ego or whatever?
And to go even further than that, there are those out there that when you tell them your truth like about yourself, then they want to deny that as well. So recently, I've done this a couple times. I have shared some truths about my life, and people wanted to dismiss me and tell me no. So I have not been the greatest mother to my children when they were younger because I was a mess and I didn't know how to
parent.
I didn't know how to parent properly. I didn't know how to speak to my kids properly. I didn't know how to speak to people properly, right? And I said something about being a bad mother, and they were like, "Oh my God, no!" Oh, like tried to
they're denying the
deny
truth
my own truth
about the situation.
Yeah,
because if you are correct about motherhood, if you are being truthful, then it puts all their mothering in a different light.
Yeah.
As long as you say you're an 8 and they're like you, they can say I'm an 8 too.
Yes.
But if you suddenly say I'm a 3 and they're like you, now that made them a 3.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get real upset about that.
Yes.
They will try to fight your truth nonstop. But reality is reality, man. Go study the best mothers in the world and go study the worst mothers in the world. Chances are you're not an 8.
Yeah. And
I would love to meet you if you are an 8.
And most of us out there aren't great mothers. Sorry, but you're doing something wrong. We all are. We all are, because none of us have a handbook. So I'm trying to add that in there. But for me, it's offensive. Like when somebody if I say my truth to somebody and they're like, no, I don't think so. I could give a shit what you think. No offense, but I know my truth.
Sure. Because you admit the broken arm, the bleeding arm.
Yes.
And it's offensive if you're bleeding everywhere and you have been for years and they're like, no, you're not. You're fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'm trying to improve the situation. First thing, we got to admit the bleeding arm here. I can't be head in the sand denying the bleeding arm.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, no, put your head in the sand. Don't worry.
Yeah. And
if you told me, don't worry, you're totally relaxed, I'd be offended.
It's offensive.
I'm trying to work on that.
It's offensive. Yeah. I'm trying to work on myself.
An issue.
Yes.
And I need to assess it correctly.
Right.
And then proceed from there. Yes. This is how you make progress in life.
Yes.
But if you assess it incorrectly, you're screwed.
Right. And telling me so I'm working on being a better parent. I'm working on
doing great.
Thank you. I'm being a better person in general.
Keep it up.
To be nicer. It's one of the things you guys see, the nice side of me and the emotional side, or you hear it. But I still have issues with not being nice all the time. So, and for somebody to come up to me and say, "But you're so nice, you don't have to work on that." That's offensive to me, because you don't know what I'm dealing with internally.
Well, yeah, that's a little different, because what they just mean by that is you're nicer than most of the people I know, because that's how they rate things. Right. They are people who rate based on their experience.
Yes.
They're not looking at the nicest people that ever existed and the worst people that ever existed and trying to ballpark you somewhere. They're just trying to compliment you like you're nicer than everybody else I know.
Yeah. And if they said that, I would be okay.
But that's what they mean. So you don't have to get offended. I've never seen you get really, truly offended when someone compliments you for being nice.
No.
But in your head,
inside, I'm always like, whatever. Yeah, thanks.
You might roll your eyes because you know you're not quite where you want to be or whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes when you say I'm the best, because we'll say that to each other, I'll be like, "You're the best," and you're like, "You're the best." And sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, I am," and sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay," because in that moment, I didn't feel the best, or I like whatever.
So this brings up another issue, a different thing entirely.
Okay.
When people rate themselves or assess themselves on some quality or skill, are they doing it in general, overall, compared to humanity? Or are they doing it in the moment, how I feel?
That's a great question. So the time,
Because they'll give you a number,
right?
or they'll assess the situation like, oh, that person treated me poorly. But did they though? Are you talking about reality? Or do you just feel in the moment that they treated you poorly?
Right.
And in a week or two from now, you're going to look back and think, well, I guess they weren't really treating me poorly. Like,
Or wasn't that bad or whatever.
does it change moment to moment?
Yes.
And so when people ask, or when it's time to evaluate or assess ourselves, generally it's calling for an overall evaluation.
Yes.
Over time, an objective evaluation of your overall state most of the time. It's not asking like, did you accidentally be mean one day?
Right.
But if you answer it just after being mean one day, you might feel shitty.
Yes.
And answer that you're much meaner than you really are. You might generally be a nice person, but if you're feeling mean and you let that skew your rating and you can't see things objectively and you let your emotions rate yourself, it might come out terrible. Like it might be a weird rating, and vice versa. Some people are total assholes, but if they're feeling good, walking along, minding my business, I'm a good person. They feel good today. And you ask them, they're going to give you an unreliable rating.
Right.
They're going to say, I'm a nice person. Meanwhile, their whole circle, their whole friend group are like, that's the asshole of our group.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Like
it's
you ain't. So most people don't even think about this. They just blurt out a number based on how they're feeling. Is that a good way to measure things? Is that a good way to evaluate reality? Should we just blurt out how we feel and that's it? That's how it is. That's life. I feel like I'm great, so be it.
No, because feelings do not equal reality. I've been talking about this with my kids the last couple of days because they come at me with, I feel this and I feel that. And I'm like, but your feelings don't actually mean it's real. You can feel that way. You're allowed to feel your way any way you want. But it does not mean because you feel that I'm mean, that I'm actually being mean when I'm really being nice and stating my boundaries.
Yeah. How many kids throw temper tantrums when their parent is trying to help them? The parent's like taking them away from the edge of the road, and they're like, they want to play at the edge of the road.
Yeah.
And then they throw a fit.
Yeah.
And they're like, I feel like you're mean. And then they run away.
Yeah.
Like, why did you run away? Mom took me away from the road. She's so mean.
So mean, yeah.
It's like, that's not reality, dude. Yeah. Your mom was supporting your life and your dreams. She was doing the right thing at the right time. She was following her heart and her instincts and whatever. And it was not good for you to play near the edge of the road at that moment.
Right.
But you're a new little kid who doesn't know a lot about life and you have very limited experience. So to you, that was the worst thing ever. But if you could get past your emotions and see reality objectively, you would realize it's not the worst thing ever. It's probably actually a good thing. And I don't think she was being mean at all. But that's something the kid will see with perspective when they're a teenager or when they're an adult or whatever.
Right.
When their life experience grows and they stop judging things based on how it feels in the moment.
True. It's very true. And when I say that, usually when I say like, yeah, I am, it's because I'm thinking overall the things I do. Good. But whenever I answer, I'm okay.
You probably just had a shitty day.
Well, not necessarily a crappy day, but I had a thought before that, or something happened right before that moment, or like this morning.
Yeah, you assessed yourself in a weird mood.
This morning, when I brought breakfast, you said you're the best, and I was walking out the door, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay.
I was really grateful for the breakfast.
But because, it had nothing to do with the breakfast. It had nothing to do with the service and bringing food. When right before I had walked in and I was still finishing up breakfast, I had the thought of like, my kids are mad at me and, they think I'm a horrible person. And I know that, they're right about some things, but they're super wrong about a lot of things, but it's okay because they don't understand. And so like, I was thinking it wasn't like a long thoughts or anything, but then I came in and you said that and I thought like, they don't think so. And so I was like, I'm all right, Right.
So I assessed you as the best.
Yeah.
And because you were in a mood, you assessed it quite differently.
Yeah. Yeah. But I am the best.
Great. But either way, I mean, neither of us are the best or the worst anyways. Like a true assessment is...
Well, that's not a real assessment. That's me just saying like, I'm the best because I serve food and I cook for you and that kind of thing. It's not really I'm the best.
Yeah. My question is, most people do their evaluations of life and reality and their skills and their traits when they're in a certain mood.
Yes. Yes.
Is this a wise, healthy, mature approach to self-evaluation.
No.
So how should we be evaluating ourselves?
Overall, in general.
Yeah, but in what kind of mood should we be?
No, when you're feeling positive, when you're feeling good. Like if I were to assess my mothering skills overall, actually they're really good. Actually, I did a really good job with my children. I made some mistakes and I said some wrong things and I yelled a lot. But overall, if I look at in general, I did a really good job. I did a better job than my mom, and I love you, Mom. But yeah, so and also being, like you said, being more positive about the situation that we are evaluating ourselves. If I'm super depressed and on the verge of unaliving, I'm not going to assess myself about anything in a positive way.
No.
I'm going to be a 0 at everything. I'm stuck in everything,
Yeah, but is that a correct, healthy assessment?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
And it's okay to feel like that when you're depressed. It's normal, but please do not think that's your assessment for life forever.
Yeah, it's an in-the-moment temporary thing. The thing is, those people in that Twitter thread who all claimed that their tweets were recognizable and well-branded and you could take the name away, all rated themselves super positively, probably because they were in a positive mood.
Probably, yeah.
So is it even wise to assess and self-evaluate when you're in a positive mood? Because that's what they did. Are you really encouraging more of that?
Okay, so yes and no, right? Yes, being in a positive mood this is what we aim for. This is what we teach people to, like, be happy, be better. But if you don't know how to assess yourself in any mood, period, if you don't know how to assess your skills and the reality of what you can do,
then no mood's going to help you.
Right, exactly.
Right. So what you're saying is learning proper, healthy evaluation and evaluation skills is essential. And once you have those, then it's good to assess yourself while in a positive mood.
Yes, because then you'll know I'm not just being super energetic and positive and happy and rating myself.
I am the best.
Yeah,
I have the best brand and the best business.
Right. Yeah. No. So I think it goes both ways.
Right. Like I was pretty happy when we were doing the BizMedic app.
Right.
But I was happy to rate 1s and 2s.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Because I understand proper, healthy assessment.
Right.
And so I know not to deny reality. I know to accept reality. And my positive mood just helps me do that better.
Yes.
But if I didn't have the skills of assessing things correctly, then my positive mood would have ruined it. And I would have put 9 on everything.
Yes. Yeah. So it goes both ways. If you're super negative and you're rating everything a 0, and you're super positive and you're rating everything a 9 or 10, like if you don't have those skills, then you're screwed.
Yeah. And a good indicator is if you rate a bunch of different things all the same number.
Ah, yes.
You're probably lying to yourself because almost no human on the planet is 8 everything.
No, that's so good.
Almost no human is 2 at everything.
Yes.
So your number should really be going up and down depending on the topic. I'm great at music. I'm bad at marketing my music. Like,
yes.
You gotta rate honestly.
Yes.
And if you're getting the same number, if you're like, oh, I'm great at music, I'm great at art, I'm great at business, I'm great at relationships, I'm great at communication, it's just not a good sign.
No, I agree.
And if you're like, oh, I'm super depressed and I suck at this and this and this and this, it's like, do you really, honestly, does any human suck at everything? Just shut up. Like, this is bad assessment. You're probably great at some things. If you just start getting out of your funk and assessing things correctly and looking at reality, you're gonna see.
Yeah, I felt not great and I assessed myself as a 2 at everything, and you were like, no, you're not. You're a 9 at connection and 9 at this and 9 at, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
Well, so I'm a 9 at correction. I'm good at correcting things. If something is amiss or awry or ajar, I have a natural skill for this.
Yes.
Most people don't talk about this skill, but it's great to have in a teacher.
Yes.
It's a huge win for me, and I'm not going to be humble about it or pretend I don't have it. I'm freaking awesome at this.
You are.
I can correct some of the world's best leaders. Like, they think they're doing things right. I can correct them. I am very, very good at this.
And I want to be clear on what you mean by correction. So just like I can smell a lie, this is a natural thing in me. This is just some weird thing I have.
Know. I've noticed.
But you have this, you're a weird little super. I know, like, people can't lie to me. Even if I don't say anything, I know.
The worst.
But your superpower is not, I want to correct you because it's not correction. I think you notice the thing that's out of place.
To me, that's just another definition of correct.
But I want to be clear so that people understand.
Sure.
Correction, we think like correcting papers or
they think I need to be right or something and other people are wrong. It's not about that.
No.
It's about noticing something that's awry
yes.
and correcting it. If I see a pothole, let's get that paved.
Yes.
Like I can tell what to do.
But the cool thing is, just like I can smell that lie, even when you're lying to yourself about something, you see the thing that's off, even if it's like minuscule, nothing. So you can look at a brand like Nike or Starbucks, and most people would think, oh, they have nothing to fix.
Wrong. I can list many things.
Exactly. Hormozy has a great brand, and he is making lots of money. He's really spot on about offers and sales. Like, he's really good with this. But I know that if we laid out his branding and his stuff, that you would find the thing he could improve. And it's not to like nitpick or you have to be right or this is.
And I don't even care if you fix it.
No,
it's just like something I like to do.
And we
happy to spot it.
Right. And we all have these weird superpowers that we don't realize are superpowers that help us. But so that's another topic. But you are awesome at seeing that little tiny thing and helping someone. And this has helped me tremendously.
Thank you. And it goes hand in hand with seeing reality and healthy evaluation. And that's why if you ever rate yourself too low on something, I'll be like, no, you're much better than that. Don't let your mood color it. Yes. But also, if you're calling yourself an 8 and you're standing next to Demi Rose or Pamela Anderson or whoever else, maybe not the best example, I'll be like, no, that's too high.
Yeah.
And I will just correct it.
Yeah.
I will just correct it.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with my mood or how I see you or like what I think about you or anything. And so this helps my clients tremendously because if their business is struggling or their mental health is struggling, I'll zero right in on the issue or the bottleneck or the leverage point. And I'll be like, look, if we fix this, it's gonna help everything. But first you have to agree that it's a bit off.
Yeah.
And if people get all sensitive about it and their ego gets all riled up and they get all defensive, then I can't even help them. Like, I want to say, like, let's look at the bleeding arm. I'm good at spotting the bleeding arm. And once we spot it, we can get treatment for it.
Yeah.
I'm very, very good at this.
And or if the bleeding arm was bleeding internally.
Yeah. I'd still know.
You would know.
Yeah. It's like a human x-ray.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool because you see the world as it is. It's like you have these weird, what are those glasses? The the 3D glasses?
Yeah.
Like you can see all the, I know, with your glasses.
Well, they say people with like weaker vision, eyesight wise, often have improved vision some other way.
Yes.
Like they see things people don't.
And that's probably why I can see the lies and you can see what's wrong.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. But I do know that I want more people to have this ability. Yeah. I don't want to be special. I don't want to be the only human walking around who can see things correctly or assess things correctly. And I'm sure there are more out there. I'm not claiming that I'm super special or the world's best.
No.
But I know this skill is integral in assessing things well and evaluating ourselves and evaluating reality. You have to be able to look things straight in the eye with an objective view and a rational stance without letting your mood affect anything and call it out reality, admit reality, describe it clearly. And usually there are philosophers that do this. Like throughout history, they usually see things the most clearly, or oracles or poets or gurus of some kind. I don't mean modern day gurus.
No.
They're shilling and they're experts and they're whatever. I mean like the enlightened folks.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not claiming to be an enlightened folk. I'm just saying throughout history, some people are good at seeing the truth of things and pointing out where they could be corrected well, but most people aren't.
Right. And so I'm pretty good at being able to spot a problem in someone's business, but that's a skill that I learned. I learned that through you. It's not the same. It's not a natural ability that I had that just one day I realized I can see. No, it's a skill I picked up studying business, studying you, learning from you, doing risk on other businesses and seeing where it goes. But it's nothing compared to what you like. What I do is like a 2 in comparison to your 2,000.
Yeah, yours is better for the first half, the startup half,
yes,
rather than the maintenance upkeep.
Right.
But that can improve too.
Yeah.
It's another skill you can learn.
Right. And I'm the queen of startups because I've had so many. So, but anyway, I think you are 100% correct. Having your superpower skill is really great for the rating and assessment. For me, when we had that conversation at Darius's was eye-opening for me, because it would have been really easy to say, like, he hurt my feelings, or you hurt my feelings, or like,
I think you did say that
you don't
in the beginning.
I did. I said that really hurt my feelings when you said it. And then you explained, but you were like, but wait a minute, I wouldn't be laying in bed with you if I didn't like you or wasn't attracted to you or you weren't pretty. Like, what? And so then you explained some of this. And I was like, oh, and I did not understand. And so that was the beginning of my journey of learning how to assess myself and other people. And I've gotten really good at it. I've gotten much better at it. And yesterday, and I'm only saying that today to assess myself because of yesterday, because we went through the BizMatic, we assessed it together, and we were on the same page. And to me, if I'm on the same page as you at something, then I'm good at it, because you're pretty good at most things, and you're really skilled, especially at this. So I feel like you did a really good job teaching this.
Well, you did a great job with the evaluation. The thing is, how many parents have taught their children to see a situation clearly for what it is, seek out the truth of it, no matter if it hurts, regardless of their mood, and then progress from there?
Not that many.
Yeah, like none.
Not that many.
I mean, 0.01% or something.
Right. Because there's so few people that understand this. And I know there's people out there that do, but this reminds me of last week's episode when we were talking about the
beginner's hump,
right? And so a lot of people
they can't see that clearly.
No, they can't see this clearly. And this question today was inspired because I was doing my thing online, and in some comments, I realized I saw all these people saying they were great at this, they were awesome at this, and blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what the post was, or I just remember going, there is no way that all you people are 10s at whatever the hell this is. There is no freaking way.
But they weren't taught to see clearly.
No.
They weren't taught to evaluate well.
No.
They weren't taught to objectively go beyond their mood or feeling in the moment. They weren't taught to broaden their life experience and stop judging things on how good they are in their friend group.
Right. But this made me realize, the reason why so many people ignore that hump, the beginner hump from last week's episode, is because they don't know how to rate themselves. They don't know how to rate themselves. They're not honest with themselves. They don't have the skills. And if they have the skills, they haven't improved them skills to be really good at whatever it is. So these things go so hand in hand. And that's why these people are saying, my toxic trait is that I know that I can do this, or I know I could chop wood with one hand, when it's a girl who's never lifted weights and who's never cut more than paper, like how are you going to tell me that you can do this? It makes no sense. Now, if our anonymous donor, who we love so much, told me that he could chop wood with one arm, I'd believe it. Dude is, but these other people who say these things, it's like, have you actually taken a good look at yourself and your skills and evaluated yourself? No, I know you haven't. That's why you think you can get past that beginner hump with no problem.
Free.
Yeah, sure. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad, because I've done this too. So the first time I picked up resin, which if you don't know what that is, it's
the clear paint.
Yeah, it's like clear paint basically. And I was making some stuff with resin, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be great. This is awesome. It's easy. I just mix this stuff up and pour it in the little molds and stuff. No big deal. And yes, that's easy, but there's so many nuances to it. And when I go back and look at that stuff I made, everything turned yellow. Why? Because I bought the wrong stuff, because I didn't evaluate my own skills, which was at 0. And I just assumed that I could get over that beginner's hump and do it because I'm the best. I'm great.
Yeah. And this is a killer for people's mental health.
Oh my God.
Most of people's mental health problems, when I say most, I don't know if that's correct. You see what I'm saying? But a large chunk of people's mental health problems boil down to this inability to see reality and seek reality and seek the truth and assess things correctly. They are walking around with bleeding arms that they're ignoring. Other times, they have a giant, buff superpower or strength that they're sleeping on because they can't assess anything correctly. They're unable to evaluate situations. They have terrible relationships because they can't see their part in it. They can't see the other person's part in it. Yeah. They can't see the check boxes people have or the values people have. They don't understand why this is happening. They're literally clueless because of an inability to see reality clearly and correctly. And I'm not saying anyone does it perfectly, but we can all get better at seeing things clearly and correctly. And the better you are at it, the easier time you're going to have navigating life.
Yeah. And I would go a step further than that too. There are people out there who have a tiny little cut,
Yeah. And they're acting like it's the end of the world.
And they act like they're psychotic and have to be hospitalized
for life
and with mental health issues forever when they have some anxiety or depression
in like 30 days.
Right. And so I'm glad you brought it back to mental health because we didn't really talk about that up until this point.
But to me, it's clear. But like, if you can't see reality clearly, that's going to affect your mental health. I mean, I'm spelling it out for everyone, but yeah, pretty obvious.
Well, I was going to say that too. If you can't rate yourself, if you're poor at skills, mental health skills, you won't see that this whole thing is actually about mental health.
True.
That's it.
Maybe it's not obvious.
No,
maybe. To people with a poor grasp of assessment and evaluation, even something that is clearly about mental health will not seem clear to them.
Right.
They won't be able to evaluate correctly.
Right.
So you're 100% right.
And people think when we say mental health, we mean just anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. Mental health goes way beyond these, and therapy doesn't really talk about most therapists don't talk about this.
Your procrastination, your perfectionism, your people pleasing ways, your imposter syndrome,
your fear,
your self-doubt, your fear.
Yes.
And it's very tied to how well you can see and evaluate the reality of a situation, any situation.
Yes. 100%.
So this is never talked about, but is really one of the most game-changing skills you can ever have in life. And once you have it, conversations become easier, relationships become easier, progress becomes easier, momentum becomes easier, bottlenecks become easier. You can solve anything and everything because you're like, yeah, just yesterday we were having an argument about reality. And I'm like, the reality of the situation is X. And you're like hesitant at first, but eventually you're like, yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. And so as somebody who rated...
Can you admit reality?
Yeah. And that's really important. Being able to admit reality, I'm not going to lie, it's hard. I'm not even...
For me.
You're a weirdo freak. I love you. Okay.
I feel like
once it didn't help you in the beginning. So that's what I'm going to say. So this part is for those who may be in the beginning of their journey, right? So it is hard in the beginning because you look at yourself and you start to really rate yourself and you start to really assess yourself and you go, God, I really am shit, but you're not, right? So the first step, they teach this in NA, AA, we teach it, most people teach it, if they're good, that you have to admit the problem before you can fix it, right? And so if you're full of anxiety and depression and worry and all these fear and people pleasing and all these things, if you can't assess yourself as a people pleaser, you can't heal from people pleasing. If you don't assess yourself as having anxiety, you cannot heal your anxiety.
If you didn't admit you were a heroin addict, you'd never get clean.
No.
And I would admit it first.
Exactly. Yeah. And so people think of that admitting the problem first is usually like a drug thing or an addiction thing. But it goes way further than that. And it's okay if you feel bad that you realize you're not as good at these things as you want to be, because admitting it is the first step to getting better.
Yeah, well, this is why people avoid reality and they don't assess themselves correctly, because they know it's going to make them feel bad. They're like, if I think about this topic and I really take a hard look at reality, I'm going to feel bad for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, months, days, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, that's life. If you suck at something, you should feel bad. Like, if it's something important to you and you want to get good at it, when I miss an important shot in basketball, I'm not doing cartwheels, but I did miss it and I need to admit it, and then I need to go practice it. But if you avoid admitting that you missed the basket, you know, I got it. I sunk the basket. And now I don't feel bad. So I avoided the bad feeling. This is great. Then you're screwed, man.
Yeah.
You're trading feeling good now for actually getting what you want in life.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Say that again.
I was saying that people avoid admitting the truth of reality because they know it's going to make them feel bad for X amount of time.
Yeah.
So they don't.
Yeah.
This saves their feelings and they avoid the X amount of bad feelings, but it prevents them from ever getting the true dream that they really have in that area.
That was really good. I want to cut that part out and put it on social media. And I'm serious because that was really good. It's true. This is I don't know if you can see my thing from there. It's the test. Will you eat one marshmallow now, or if you
the marshmallow
test, where you put one marshmallow in front of somebody or for a child, right? And you tell the child, if you don't eat it, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you like 10 more. And some of the kids like gobble it up right away because they want that one marshmallow.
And they want to feel good for X amount of time.
Right. They want to feel good right now. And then the other kids, they are like, I want more marshmallows.
Yeah. Good feelings are like candy, like junk food, like sweet candy. And most people will just gobble up the junk food. But seeing reality and the truth and evaluating things correctly is like vegetables. And the people who have a healthy diet of reality and the truth go far in life and they get everything they want. And the people who gorge themselves on junk food feelings, denying reality so they can feel good about their awesome little lives, go nowhere. And they never fix anything.
Yeah.
This is the choice. This is the marshmallow test of mental health.
Yeah.
This is a marshmallow test of emotions. This is a marshmallow test of reality. What are you going to choose in every situation? How good is your copywriting? How good is your brand? How good is your business? How good is your beauty? How good is your wealth? How good is your health? How good is it really? And can you admit the truth? Because if you can admit the truth, you'll feel bad for a little while, but then you can get on a mission and you can progress and you can improve it and you can heal that bleeding arm. Or are you going to deny the truth so you get to keep your awesome feelings forever?
Right.
Because you won't really feel that good.
No.
Just like living on junk food ain't going to feel good, man.
No. And it hurts. It hurts our ego to say, I'm really bad at this. I don't know how to do this. This is difficult. I have to learn how to be better at this.
I need help. I need practice.
But the cool thing is, the really amazing thing is once you say that to yourself and you admit it to yourself or someone else,
game changer.
And then, but then you start learning how you start feeling so good.
Like, I'm actually getting good.
Yes. And so same, and it goes for all the parts of the mental health, the ones that we mentioned and all the other stuff that's kind of unmentioned. When you start working on that stuff, you start to feel really good. You start to understand that, like, this is easy. I can do this. This is a skill. I can learn this.
Yeah, you feel really good, just like you would if you had a healthy diet instead of junk food.
Yeah.
If you stick with it for a while and really do it, you start to feel energized and alert and alive and happy and strong and fit and empowered.
Yes.
Like, you get real, true progress and momentum.
And you don't want the junk food anymore because it feels so good to be eating the healthy food and taking care of yourself. And
that's why I said it's easy and fun for me to admit reality.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You want to say I have thick glasses? You want to say my business is so-so? You want to say I don't look that hot? I don't care. I can rate it. I can handle it. None of the negative feedback bothers me. I just want to admit reality. And if someone's wrong, I'll be like, actually, you're wrong. And if someone's right, I'll be like, you're right.
Same.
I have zero problem with this because to me, I've been on this diet of healthy reality for a long time now. 3 years homeless gets you to really look reality in the eye.
Yeah.
And you really become very at home and at peace with all the bullshit of life. And that's okay.
Yeah. And when you live with somebody who is all about reality and honest about what's happening to you, your life, your kids, your everything, it just becomes second nature and it's easy to do. So it's just practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
So we've been talking for a while. I think we got to wrap up, but I want to leave some tips on how to evaluate better because no one's taught this.
Please go ahead.
So one, before you evaluate anything, ask yourself, what is the best in the world of this situation and what is the worst in the world of this situation or throughout history?
That's so good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? You should not be judging anything.
Nope.
I don't want to hear someone saying how good you are at communication or how good you are at relationships or how good you are at business unless you've already framed it in, well, the world's best business is probably Christianity or
yeah. Okay.
or some monster business, or the best business is Google or Nike. Or if you think those companies are evil, then pick the best good business that you know of, like Patagonia, or even they're controversial, but whatever, right?
Whatever is the best
in your view.
In your view, but also not the best because you like them.
Yeah, and not the best of your current knowledge.
Yes.
The best in the world that you can find.
Yeah, go research.
So people want to evaluate themselves like this. They don't want to do any other steps. They want to just be like, I feel good. I feel bad. I'm like this. I'm an 8. I'm a 2. No. Evaluation takes some time and some focus. It takes a tiny bit of effort. You have to Google at least something. And if you are not Googling the world's best businesses, don't talk to me. Like, you shouldn't be rating yourself.
Yeah, agreed.
And same for the worst, right? Go Google business disasters, right?
Yeah.
Google business failures. Go look at what Blockbuster did. Go look at some teenager's first business and look at the disaster it happened to turn into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you know the best and the worst, now you're on firmer footing for evaluating yourself. Same for relationships. Go find the world's longest marriage or happiest marriage or the best relationship coach out there or whatever. And then find some disaster like ex-con, pregnant, cheated on 1 million people.
Risa Tisa.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't really matter exactly what, but what matters is that you give yourself a frame of reference and you go beyond your current experience. Yes. Because your current experience is shit unless you're a pro already.
Right.
So that's one thing. What is the best of this thing and what is the worst of this thing that I can find? After I know that, now it's fair to rate myself. Am I closer to the top? Am I closer to the best? Am I closer to the worst? If you're closer to the top, you're above 5. If you're closer to the bottom, you're below 5. Am I very close to the top? Maybe you're an 8 or a 9. Am I just slightly close to the top and I'm kind of average, but I'm like a little better than most, and you're a 5.5, right? Like, learn to assess yourself in relation to the best and the worst through history. This is the research step of risk. This is the R in risk. Go research before you evaluate anything. Next, see if you can figure out what makes those things the best and the worst. You can be like, oh, that's the best, that's the worst, I'm in between. What makes them the best and the worst? Because if you don't know what makes them the best and the worst, you don't know if you're actually closer to one or the other.
Right.
If you can say their monthly earnings make them the best, then you can look at your own monthly earnings and be like, is it close? If you think their branding makes them the best, you can look at your own branding and is it close or is it far?
Oh, that's really good to look at the best aspects of the business or the person or the thing that you're wanting to research.
If you think good sex makes a good relationship, then go find the world's sexiest couple and see, like, how close am I? Is that a good aspect? But maybe what makes a good relationship is intimacy or harmony or affection or alignment or teamwork or being on the same page or growing together or adaptability. So go look at what makes them the best and the worst, right? If there's a ton of conflict and fighting and disagreements, maybe that's not the worst, but maybe some disagreements are healthy and helpful. Maybe you want a little bit of conflict. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying, is to know where I stand and to evaluate a situation correctly, I have to inform myself as much as possible about the aspects of the thing that I'm rating. I need more experience. The African dude in the village who's barely seen a ski hill or went down once does not know enough about skiing and the aspects of skiing to even know where he stands. Some people do not know enough about things to rate themselves. That's all there is to it. And if you want to rate yourself and assess things correctly, you have to go do the work to learn about it. You have to explore it. So we call this inspect. This is the inspection step of risk. R-I. Research, then inspect. I'm not going to get into a whole risk episode. It's kind of an involved process, but those 2 steps alone are fantastic for a healthy evaluation. And they will help you see reality clearly if you have the stomach for it.
If you want to know more about risk, we will insert the Instagram post about it. We have an Instagram post. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that we talked a little bit about risk. It's pretty awesome because it has been a life changer for my business, for my physical transformation, for my emotional transformation, for my mental health. Like, literally, I use it for everything. And if you do, it will change your life. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for answering my question.
Great question.
I'd love to know what you guys, what Rise Rebels, what do you think about our new format? Do you prefer it over all the questions that I used to ask, our conversations, or what? I'd love to know your thoughts. Feel free to leave them in the comments or email me anytime. So, Jay, you are amazing and wonderful. You are super helpful. You've helped me. You've helped these people. You've helped our amazing audience. I was just wondering if you had any final thoughts that you would like to share with our incredible audience.
Yes. Every single person's dreams lie on the other side of healthy evaluation. Everyone's dreams lies on the other side of admitting reality. Admitting reality is step one to everything you want in any area. So practice it, get good at it, master it, dive into it. Like, show me up, show her up, be better at admitting reality than anybody, because that is going to be the foundation for getting all your dreams. You got this. I believe in you.
And because this is a sponsored episode, and I forgot to tell you about it because I was so involved in our conversation, here's our book, Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1.
And the reality is, it is the world's first self-help coffee table book.
It is. That's true.
I did Risk.
You did. And
there aren't any.
There are not. We did Risk. Both of us did Risk. And also, the reality is I'm not that great at sponsored ads. That's the truth. And if you want our book and you think I'm insane and you would like to learn more about us and you want to sign up for our newsletter, go to eyeswideopenfree.com and get your free copy of our PDF, and you'll have the world's first self-help coffee table book of your very own, for your very own. And you also sign up for our amazing newsletter, and you'll hear all the amazing things that are happening to us that we share 3 times a week. And we also share tons of free resources in there too. So thank you. Anyway, that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you'll know better how to rate yourself and assess yourself and be honest with yourself. So now you can go see this video here called
Everyone's a Damn Liar,
to help you understand more about yourself and help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.